Bowie, we'll just jump into questions. Cole, do you want to start us off today?
Absolutely. Coach, last week, obviously, Coach Helton talked a little bit about the turnovers. When you were evaluating those against Toledo, as far as mental and technical, when you're evaluating those, how do you go about attacking them, especially in this bye week for practice for you guys to fix up?
Yeah, I mean, the first one, we gotta protect the football. We talk about wrist above elbow all the time in practice. We got to make sure in those situations that we're protecting it. Ball security is of utmost importance. We didn't get that done on that one. And then the first third down in the game, just bad decision. Could have put the kids in probably a little bit of a better spot there, honestly, and a really good player made a really good play. And so that happens when you play good teams. We're going to have to be better than that if we want to get to where we want to get to.
How do you feel that your offensive guys have responded to this bye week and trying to game plan for Nevada?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I think Coach Helton talks a lot about turn the page, and I think you miss the opportunity to get that extra week of preparation if you're constantly looking in the rearview mirror at the previous game. So I think we did a decent job of using this as an opportunity to get a little bit of a leg up on our next opponent, and we're going to need it. It's a very good team. Has been very good on defense. The numbers will show you that, and when you turn the tape on, it's fun to watch with the effort and the intensity that they play defensively. So we tried to use as much of that time that we could to turn the page and move forward than necessarily looking back. You put it to bed, you address the issues, and then you try to use it as an advantage in the bye.
Okay, so effort, intensity, that's two things that they do well. Anything else that presents real problems that they do defensively?
Yeah, you watch what they did last week. They were pretty dominant in that performance defensively. They're extremely physical, like I mentioned. They do a really good job with their two edges, disrupting passers and rushing the passer well, and then they're extremely violent in the run game as well. They're pretty diverse on the back end, which makes things fun, trying to figure out the best way to attack that. But I would say, man, you watch that game last week, there's some impressive stuff they put on tape. So this is a pretty darn good defense yet again, and you really wouldn't want it any other way.
Obviously a good job stopping the ground game 2 weeks ago. How do you kind of improve on that, focus on that in the bye week, and improve on that for Nevada?
Yeah, it's a hot topic, right? But we're going to do whatever it takes to win. I'm going to say it every week. Coach Helton sort of touched on it. You're going to do whatever a defense gives you. You're going to try to take advantage of that. Ultimately, you just want the appropriate balance of touches and space. Obviously, things get a little bit easier when you can run the ball efficiently. But again, we're going to focus on yards per carry and making sure we're efficient in the running game rather than necessarily trying to rack up total yardage in that statistic. But above all, definitely a point of emphasis for us this week is we need to be more efficient when we run the football. And that's something that really takes a lot of pressure off of a lot of people offensively when you can hand the ball off and get your 4 to 5 yards and then hit the explosives that come off of those body blows. But definitely a point of emphasis and something we need to improve.
Brett, the balance wasn't bad. Just looking at the raw numbers, the post-game numbers, but I think 2.1 yards per rush. I mean, it's not exactly encouraging for you to do that if that's all you get. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, a lot of it depends on how the game's going as well. You find yourself down early. And so you're going to try to do what you need to do to get back in the game. But with that said, yeah, I mean, you're touching on the better statistic, in my opinion, is going to be the yards per carry numbers and making sure that, and we dive a little bit deeper into that. Obviously, college statistics are a little bit different with how they track rushing yards. But what I would say is we want to make sure that we're efficient with whatever play call it is. So we're going to make sure that we're moving forward with the amount of snaps that we get, and running the football is a big part of that.
Ask Coach this as well, but having the bye week so early, how was that for you, and how did you feel about being able to work on stuff so early on?
Yeah, a little bit different, like I said, to get it this early, but again, it's kind of split up nicely with the way they break in throughout the year. It does give you a great chance to look in the mirror first, do some self-scouting, see what some defenses are seeing when they look at you, and then also spend some time to get ahead on the opponent. So, I'm always a fan of extra time in preparation. It always leads to a little bit more confidence and some chance to try some new things. It gives us a chance to throw some things against the wall, knowing that you have those extra practice days to do it. Excited to see what some of those things look like, and we'll find out here in a couple days.
Coach, we know the run was one of the main things everybody's been harping on. Is there anything else as far as offensively that you saw from last week that you wanted to work on and address with these guys?
Yeah, I think other people are talking a lot about those things. We got to protect the football. You turn the ball over 2 times in your first 5 snaps. That's been addressed. Again, we've turned the page, but that's something that's universal of all football games. You got to protect the football if you want to be good offensively. So that's a major point of emphasis. Throwing the football, we've done a decent job of that. I think we always turned it over 1 time to this point. But other than that, we got to do a better job. I mean, you can't spot teams that many points and put your defenses in bad spots. Major emphasis will be protecting the football.
How you feeling about how your receivers are producing yards after the catch this year? Is that something that you're satisfied with that number, or are you looking for more?
Yeah, I mean, players play. Our job is to try to get them the ball in the most amount of space possible. I think we've got good players. I joke with the guys all the time. Our job is to get it to you in space, and then we all become fans. And we get a chance to watch our great players take the ball in space and try to do explosive things with it while protecting the football and having good ball security. So I think they've done a decent job of that. I think you've seen we have some explosive people that when you can get them, you don't really have to throw it as far as you can to get explosive plays. It's just about finding the space where you can get it. And I think their yards after catch has been pretty good.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, appreciate y'all. Thanks again.